All she's ever wanted to do was save lives.
The people in this hospital are here to help.
It's happening around the clock.
It started with this crash involving 4 Monroe teens headed to prom.
I blacked out. And when I came to, just kind of like shock. It was our worst nightmare.
I broke the news to everybody. Walking into a room like that with all the tubes and lines and the monitors and the beeps, and I was trying to prepare the family.
Kaylee was 2 weeks away from graduating, planning to go to Ohio State University to fulfill her dream of becoming a surgeon.
We saw Mitchell and Kaylee. They came running up to us. We took pictures, but I guess they were running late for dinner.
She loved prom. She was all hyped for prom.
Kaylee and her friends never made it to prom. She was thrown out of the back seat of this 2013 Tesla. The driver and the other 2 passengers in the car were released from the hospital.
She's my girl. He's my girl.
This marked the beginning of one of the toughest decisions Kaylee's family would ever make.
It's been 72 hours almost to the T.
Kaylee was unresponsive.
She's gone, so I'm trying to kind of like put my mind around that and know that she's not there. It's just her body.
That can be sometimes confusing for families because they're told that their loved one has passed away. However, they're pink, they're warm, their heartbeat can be seen up on the screen.
At 17, Kaylee was adamant about being an organ donor.
Kind of knew what was going to happen in a sense, even though we didn't really want to hear it. This is what she wanted, so she's going to save a lot of lives, unfortunately, due to something that shouldn't happen. But
her grandfather had 2 kidney transplants, gifting her family 13 more years with him.
When my father received his transplants, it was hard for the whole family, but yet we appreciated every second and all the time that we had with him.
Once Kaylee's family came to grips with her decision to save others, the clock started.
It's usually about 24 to 36 hours of coordination of efforts.
The gut-wrenching decision of who will get Kaylee's gifts rests with this man.
My phone is ringing a lot.
Dr. Shamal Shah is Chief of Transplantation and a medical director for Life Center. Teams immediately start to review donor history, send off blood tests, and check for any infectious diseases that could be passed on to the recipient.
You get an organ offer, and then you have to decide, is an organ suitable for the recipient.
Shaw says a healthy donor can save up to 12 lives. Teams continue to find out what Kaylee could give and where her gifts could go.
How would you describe how you're feeling right now?
Tired, sad, happy.
Her family received update after update.
I would say at peace, knowing the outcome. I wish I could describe it, you know, in terms of being on the receiving end of somebody doing the exact same thing that Kaylee is doing. It's one of those things where you don't know the true extent of what the other person has gone through to be able to give that gift.
Her classmates, friends, and family continually prayed for her, lining the halls of the hospital for days.
It's just difficult to kind of grasp. As you look back and you think of everybody that came, they were in the halls, they were all over the waiting room, and just wanting to know what's going on. It's very humbling.
As Kaylee gives one of the most honorable gifts possible, her family received one as well.
We will record their loved one's heartbeat, and we present that to them in the form of a bear, where they can always hear their loved one's heartbeat.
A reminder that from tragic loss rose life, and that Kaylee's heart was always present.
I don't think her legacy's over. I think it's just beginning.
A beginning that allowed Kaylee to save 6 lives and touch 50 others with her gifts, just in time. Now, as we sat in the hospital with Kaylee's family and watched as they made very, very tough decisions and received updates, it was amazing to see their resolve through their exhaustion and emotion. When the donation coordinator came in to tell them that Kaylee would be able to donate tissue, and while it was a true celebration, this was life-changing for them to be a part of making one of Kaylee's dreams come true, which was to save others.
That's exactly what I was thinking. As a parent, I think you're watching this and you can understand that your child wants to be an organ donor, but she was so young, right? But for that family in the worst moment of their life to say, Okay, yes, and make that decision that it has to, because it has to happen so quickly. Really, such a selfless family as well.
Absolutely, and to allow us to be there. I mean, you both are parents. You know, this is a tough time. And to have to make decision after decision, and this is your baby girl, you know what I mean? And that was very, very tough for them. But they did it without a doubt because they knew what she wanted. They respected her wishes.
It was great for everybody to see this, because when you're a teenager at the BMV and they ask you that simple question, do you want to be an organ donor? You know, you're not thinking about that. Well, now you see what that one answer of yes could do for all these other people.
I mean, at 15 and a half years old, you can make that decision in Ohio. Now, as a parent, if your child is under the age of 18, you can overturn your child's decision or wish, but her family said absolutely not. We knew what she wanted.
Thank you so much, and certainly thank you to their family, and not just a message, I think, for teenagers, but for all of us when you're in a rush at the BMV or the DMV. Thanks so much, Alexis. We appreciate it.
Amazing story tonight, Alexis. Thank you so much. You know, yesterday, friends and family saying goodbye to 17-year-old Kaylee Jackson. She's the Monroe teenager who died after that prom night crash.
Well, earlier tonight, WLWT News 5's Alexis Rogers showed us the emotional process as doctors raced to transplant Kaylee's organs into 6 different people, fulfilling her final wish. Tonight, Alexis has a more in-depth look at what happens after people say yes to organ donation.
Kaylee Jackson made a decision that many would say was beyond her years. In the midst of her greatest tragedy, she gave the gift of life.
It's been 72 hours almost to the T.
Andrew Garcia waits. 3 days, 3 very long days without the spark and fervor of 17-year-old Kaylee Jackson.
Tired, sad, happy. Again, I'd say humbled.
Kaylee was a daughter, a niece, a best friend, a soon-to-be high school graduate with hopes of becoming a surgeon.
She wanted to save as many lives as she could, whether it be saving them herself or being able to give a part of herself to save them.
As they sit in the ICU, through their sorrow, they were sure of one thing. Kaylee wanted to save lives. Around them is the team to make that happen.
Melissa came in and explained to us the process in a very open way. She was great, made us feel comfortable with the process, and emphasized that Kaylee would be respected.
It's happening around the clock.
Melissa Holliday is the organ operations director at Life Center.
You have to die in a certain manner in most situations that allow you to give the gift of life, especially when it comes to organ donation.
Holliday serves as the first gatekeeper of the gifts, heading a team of nearly 30 people.
It's usually about 24 to 36 hours of coordination of efforts.
A couple of floors away, you can feel the intense pressure.
Hang on one second.
Dr. Shamal Shah, chief of transplantation, is also racing against the clock.
That's an incredible process, and when someone's really healthy, it's amazing how many lives can be touched.
Life Center teams rush to get information. As the clock keeps ticking, each organ with a timer of its own.
With heart and lungs, typically that time frame is about 4 hours. With kidneys, you have typically up to 24 plus hours to transplant that organ.
Teams make decision after decision. Every second counts.
You can give your lungs, and sometimes it could be both lungs to different people. You can give your liver, and sometimes, if the liver is perfect, you can actually split the liver and give it to 2 different folks.
Holding dozens of lives in their hands.
The liver should go to the sickest person on the waiting list, and that's determined by this score. And then it goes the next sickest, and the next sickest, and the next sickest. It has nothing to do with how long you've been on the list, where you live, what kind of insurance you have. It's just purely based on the MELD score.
Dr. Shaw says other organs, other criteria, kidneys, pancreas, heart, lungs, those matches are based on waiting time and genetic matches. And the team you see here is one of many. Workers at other hospitals, all helping make those matches.
For instance, I'm representing UC Health for liver, kidneys, and pancreas. I will do everything in my power to make sure the organs stay here.
Each victory comes with hills and valleys.
A lot of recipients deal with a lot of guilt after the transplant because someone has had to die for them to live, or someone gave them the greatest gift of all and they had never had a chance to repay them.
All the while, in the ICU, Kaylee's family waits.
Knowing that other people would be able to benefit from that same sort of feeling that we had is one of those things where it kind of goes full circle.
Finding joy in the midst of their pain. Kaylee's grandfather received 2 kidney transplants when she was young.
I know that we got 13 good years from somebody else's gift, and I hope that the gifts that Kaylee's giving would give somebody 13, 15, 20, 25 years, if not more.
The clock winds down. 8 organs, 6 lives, more than 50 people impacted. All because Kaylee's gifts were right on time. What you just heard was Kaylee's heartbeat, an important reminder that her heart was at every decision the entire time. Those who receive her gifts require a lifetime of medical care before, during, and after the operation. But the important thing is they get a second chance. Alexis Rogers, WLWT, News 5.
Such a beautiful young lady, and she's going to be remembered for years and years and years to come by so many families because of what's going on.
So many lives.
Just an amazing situation here. Young donors like Kaylee have proved to be very, very important.
Yeah, so get this. Just last year, there were 30 donors in our area alone who were 18 or younger. Overall, UC Medical Center performed 243 organ transplant surgeries in 2017.
And you saw the sign she was holding, Ohio State Pre-Med. She wanted to be a surgeon, and now Kaylee's family wants her legacy to educate and inspire others. We're working to follow up with those who received Kaylee's gifts.